Hey everyone, welcome back to Papa's Workshop. Well, Christmas is almost here and you still have time to make some of those last minute gifts. I know it's been kind of crazy in my shop, but one of the things that you can do is make a clock. It is something that people are going to be looking at all year long and they'll think of you having made that clock for them. It's a very special gift. And the nice thing about it is, it's a very easy project to be able to do. Now today, I'm going to use the VCARVE Pro to be able to show you several different types of examples that you can make using some basic, very basic techniques to be able to make the clock. And it'll be a gift that will be remembered for years to come. I'm going to start out with a brand new file. I'm going to come up to this selection right here, click New File. This is going to be a single-sided project, and instead of doing a 30 by 30, I want this set at 16 inches. And we're going to make this 16 inches as well. We'll leave this a ½ inch thick. I think that will be fine. We are going to do the Z0 position on the surface, and we're going to start out using this center point right here as our origin. And everything else will be fine. We'll click OK. To make this clock, I want to start off with a circle. And this circle, we can have a 0 and 0 position. And I'm going to make this clock, the radius, we'll just click diameter. And I'm going to come out and make this 15.5 inches. And there is the circle right there. And that's going to be the basis for our whole entire clock. What I want to be able to do is put the numbers in here around this. And I'm going to start right up here with the text. And I'm going to type in the 12. We'll keep this Times Roman. That will be fine. So I'm going to click OK at this point. And we'll move these numbers right up to about there. I think that should be good, because I want a little bit of space here and I don't want to be too far inward. If you want to move that down a little bit, we can move that down a little bit. I like that. What I want to do to get the rest of the numbers on here is just use the array tool. So I'm going to highlight this number, and you have a circle array tool right down here. I want to rotate this around the center. So we'll put that as a 0. I want 12 copies of this, and we will click OK. And you can see how that puts the numbers all the way around, evenly spaced exactly the way that you want it. We'll close this out. The next step, of course, is to change all these number 12s. Now we need to change it from 1 all the way to 11. So once you have this set up, now we need to come back and go back to our text menu, and we'll type in 1 right there. And again, we'll repeat this process for the numbers 2 through 11 to be able to have our clock face completed as far as the numbers. So at this point, the clock is finished. The numbers are all the way around. But do you like the orientation of these numbers? Well, that can be changed also. Let's go back to the beginning. We'll start with our number 12 at the top center, the way we had before. And we'll see, as far as the first line, that's the size of our number 12 right there. And the next one, rotation around the center. Yes, we want that at that 0, 0 position. But right here, you have the rotation copies. When you unselect that, you see the orientation changes, and that will make a big difference on the clock. Now we're still going to keep the 12 items. We're still going to do the 360 degrees. Let's make a copy. So now you see the numbers are completely oriented in a different direction. And it's all by that one click, rotation copies, having it checked or unchecked, and it makes all the difference in the world. And I like this version better. Just as we did before, I'm going to move around the clock face and change these numbers. And simply by clicking on the number, making the change, hitting the enter, and moving to the next number, you can see this does not take long at all. So now that this is all completed, the only thing that I don't like is this number 6. not quite centered. So I can highlight it and just shift it over. I have the alignment tools in place. They're turned on. So that just moves over and snaps in position. And the clock face is done and it looks great. The next thing I want you to take a look at, when we did this array, this side is just a little bit bigger than the other side. Well, how do we fix that? Well, the first thing we're going to need to do is group this together. And we'll select this right there. That groups everything together. To prove that, we'll click off of it, and then we'll click one number, and you can see everything gets highlighted. Now you can come over to this icon, select it, and then we'll just align to the material. And you can see it shift over, and all of the numbers now are equally spaced all the way around. So if we want to change the appearance of our clock a little bit, we can put an inner circle in here for an example. So let's come back over to the Draw Tool menu. We will select that, keep the zeros same. I think I want to bring this in about 10 inches for the diameter. We'll hit Create, and yeah, that looks good. So we'll close that. What happens if you want to have a double circle where maybe perhaps a solid line through here? Now let's say we want to bring in another line about 1/4 of an inch to be able to create just a little bit of interest in our clock. So I'll click on this. We'll come down to the Offset tool. And let's move this inward. And instead of 1/8 of an inch, we'll do 0.25 and we'll create the offset. And I think that looks good. So this creates a little added interest in the clock. But let's say you don't like it. So we can easily cut this and let's add another feature. For an example, let's create the little tick marks that will indicate each minute for the whole entire hour. Well, we can do this very easily by coming back to the rectangle tool. And we want to make sure that our anchor point's in the center with the XY at 0. From there, we'll move down to this section for the size of our little tick mark. We'll make it 0.125 on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, let's just make it 0.5 and hit Create. When we do that, we have one tick mark right in the center. Let's slide that up where it needs to be. And let's put it right about there. I think that will be pretty good. And we can slide this up and down until you're happy with the position of it. Now that we're happy with it, let's move back over to the Circle Array tool. We'll click on this. We have our tick mark highlighted, and that shows exactly the size of it right here. Now we'll come down to this section, and you see how this is oriented and how that changes. Well, we want this checked this time. That's the orientation that we want it. The rotation center, we need to change this to 0. So X and Y are both 0. We're going to make 60 copies, and we'll hit Create and Close. And there we have our 60 little tick marks indicating each minute of the hour. At this point, I've shown you several different types of clock faces that you can make. But let's create some toolpaths. Let's come up here to this little icon. We'll click this, move over to the Toolpath menu. The first toolpath that I want to create is using the VCARVE. So we'll click this icon right here, and we're going to start at the surface. I'm not going to put a flat depth in. We're going to be using the 60-degree V-bit, and we do not need a clearance toolpath. Before we can calculate this, we need to be able to select the different toolpaths. So the easiest way, let's highlight all of the different toolpaths. But I do not want the V-groove on this outer ring. We're going to set that up as a different toolpath here in just a moment. The easiest way is to be able to hold the Shift key down and then left click on your mouse, and that will deselect it. Now I have all the items that I want. I'll hit Calculate, and this will give me the toolpath that I need to be able to show the clock face. And by hitting the preview, you can see what that is going to look like, and that's going to be pretty nice. Next, we need to set the profile cut to be able to cut the outer circle. So we'll reset everything, go back to our 2D view, and we will select just the outer ring. And from there, we'll come over to the tool profile, select it, and I think we're going to use a 1/4 inch bit. Of course, we're going to start at the 0 cut depth, cut all the way through at our 0.5 of an inch. That will cut all the way through the material. And the bit that we're going to use is a 1/4 inch. We don't need 7 passes. I'm going to switch this down to 3 passes. That should be fine. We do want to cut this on the outside, and from there, let's just hit calculate. We'll do the preview, and that shows exactly what it's going to look like as far as the cutout. And that does cut all the way through. Now we'll reset this and show all of our tool paths, and there's our clock. You can also click on these outer pieces and they will drop out of view, and now you can see our completed clock face. Well, thanks a lot for watching this real short video. I hope it's going to help you. Now get down there into the shop and start making some clocks and get these last minute Christmas gifts done. I know that the people on your Christmas gift list will really appreciate having a clock that you made in your shop. So for now, bye-bye everyone. Can't wait to see you in the next video.